Hello, everyone. My name is Bleach Dairy, and thank you so much for joining me today. It's been quite a long time since I last touched this channel. It's been about like 3 or 4 years at this point. It really has been like seriously a long time. I remember back in those days of doing like the commentary videos of me just talking about albums I like or just really anything that I really wanted to make a video about. It didn't really go anywhere after a while. I kind of got burnt out on it pretty quickly. But I started uploading videos on TikTok rather about 2 years ago. It would have been 2 years ago back in June. And that was really fun to do. I had a very good time with that. But I've recently gotten into burnout with that as well. So I haven't really uploaded in a couple months from that, and some of my followers have been asking me, "Hey, where'd the videos go? Been waiting on your next video. Wonder what it's gonna be." And I keep just having to be like, even I don't know what it's gonna be. But I've recently been watching some YouTube channels, some like metal-oriented YouTube channels, that have been kind of inspiring me to want to go back to YouTube because I'm not going to go too far into it or really into it at all, but like there's been a lot of issues that I've been having with uploading videos and doing live streams on TikTok. So kind of wanted to see if the YouTube thing will actually work out a lot better for me. So yeah, I figured why not try it again. So for today's topic, I want to talk about some albums that I really enjoy, some albums that I own, and am going to be showing off. Some albums that I think are particularly relaxing to me. Because, some days you just kind of have like certain moments where you're just kind of like go, go, go. You're always just constantly working. There's no time to rest. You've just got stuff to do. I've been having a couple of those days recently, admittedly. But sometimes, if I find the time to relax and all that, I like to put on an album that I really enjoy that I know is going to just take me to a completely different place, I guess. And I really like a lot of those kinds of albums. I think some of those are actually some of my favorites. Some of the albums I'm going to be showing are actually some of my favorite albums of all time, particularly for that reason, is because they're very mellow, they're very chill, or at least for me they are. For some people it might not be. It really just depends on how you look at it. But regardless, these are albums that I like to relax to. So I've chosen 5 albums, a couple on vinyl, a couple on CD. So let's get into it. The first one I want to show off is actually one of my most recent ones that I bought. I actually bought this one a few days ago because I happened to be in a record store in the city and saw it, and I was like, this is something I had to have in my collection at some point, and I'll go more into it, but it is Advaitic Songs by Very, very cool stoner doom album. Try to see if I can get this so the glare's not on it. There we go. Like I said, very, very cool stoner doom album. Kind of like stoner rock or stoner metal. It's classified as a metal album, but I would honestly classify it more as like stoner rock because the metal elements are there, but I feel like they're not really as present as like other metal albums within that style. But either way, it's still a fantastic album. It's one of those albums that feels like it's very kind of like religious sounding in a sense. I mean, you can kind of get that with the album cover. But it's very slow, it's very mellow as expected with doom metal. It's also one of the very first albums that I checked out when I started using YouTube for full album listening. It's I gotta say, the algorithm that works for recommending albums to you off of YouTube is actually very good. I've ended up finding out about a lot of different albums through YouTube, just kind of recommending me albums that people have uploaded. And I've ended up finding about a bunch of YouTube channels that are specifically for uploading full albums, which is cool. And this was one of the very first ones that I checked out, and I've been in love with it ever since. I've been into this band for quite a handful of years, and only just recently finally got this album from them. But it's really worth your time because it's very mellow, it's very chill, But yeah, it's very, very slow too. But that's, again, like I said, that's to be expected with doom metal. Very cool stuff. I highly recommend this a lot. So that's a very cool record. Next one, we're going to go into a CD this time. We'll go into one of my absolute favorite progressive bands. This is probably my favorite progressive band of all time if I had to pick one, because one of my absolute favorite musicians is a part of it. Of course, that's got to be Opeth. I adore Opeth with everything that I've got. Michael Ackerfeld is one of my absolute favorite musicians of all time. I love the way he writes and performs music. Blackwater Park is also a fantastic album from them. I also own that one on CD too. But my favorite album from Opeth is Damnation. And I can't remember if it was like the album after Blackwater Park or if it was like the 2 albums after Blackwater Park. It was sometime after. Like, this one didn't come out like too far after that one came out. But they decided that instead of going through a like progressive death metal approach, they decided to just do a full-on prog rock album with this one. And this was the very first album that I ever listened to from Opeth. It wasn't any of their heavier stuff. It actually started with this. And I remember listening to the song In My Time of Need for the first time and thinking, God, this is just such a gorgeous song. And so many gorgeous songs on here. Really, all of them, I would say. Windowpane, Death Whispered a Lullaby, Hope Leaves, even like ending credits and Weakness at the very end are just such good songs. I love this album to death. One of my absolute favorite albums just in general of all time. It is, considering how like they decided to go from progressive death metal to just a standard like chill prog rock album, it really, really works in their favor, because I've listened to this album a number of times to help me sleep, as well as with Advaitic Songs too. Pretty much like most of these albums I have used to help me sleep if I ever really needed any help. Usually I don't, but sometimes when you have those nights when you're just kind of awake in bed and you just can't seem to doze off at all, some of these albums really do work for that, and Damnation is very much one of those that has very much helped me. So that's a fantastic album. Highly recommend that one too. Going to another CD for the third album. Also one of my all-time favorite, I want to call them a black metal band, but I don't want to say it for this particular album because the black metal elements are very relaxed on the... Here, I'll just show off the album though. It's The Mantle by Agalloch. Probably the best album from them, at least in my opinion it is. Ashes Against the Grain is also a fantastic album too if you want like more of a black metal approach for what Agalloch usually does. But for this one in particular, they went for more like post-metal with like a hint of black metal, also mixed with dark folk and neo-folk. And this was also, much like Advaitic Songs, was one of the very first albums that I ever checked out when I started using YouTube for full albums. Found it very, very early on, and absolutely adored it. I thought this album was just gorgeous all the way through. Much like, you know, the other albums that I mentioned. I'll probably be repeating myself a lot, but that's really just what these albums are. They're just so mellow and so relaxing to listen to. Another one of those albums that I've listened to plenty of times to help me fall asleep at night. Just such gorgeous songs in here. It's not printed on the back, but, you know, You Were But a Ghost in My Arms is one of my absolute favorites from here. I don't know if it says any of the song names inside. It does not. Either way, just listening to this thing from start to finish is just one of the most relaxing things that I can do when listening to an album. Such a good album. Next is another black metal band from Ukraine, actually. Of course, that would have to be Drudkh. I have no idea if I'm pronouncing this band's name right. I don't think really anybody knows how to pronounce this band right. At least from what I've researched, doesn't seem like anybody really knows. But this is their second album, Autumn Aroura. And I know that Blood in Our Wells is generally the fan favorite when it comes to Drudkh, but I really like this one like just a bit more than Blood in Our Wells. I've listened to Glare of Autumn plenty of times. It's the instrumental track on here, or I guess one of the instrumental tracks, but it's the one in the middle, and it's I remember listening to that one and just completely falling in love with this band. I think this band just does a super good job of being an atmospheric black metal band. Atmospheric black metal is my all-time favorite subgenre of black metal, so I definitely have a bit of a preference for it. But it's, there's a reason why I have a preference for it. It's because a lot of these bands are just they do it so well. They absolutely just kill it every single time they put out an album. This is not one of the ones that I really listen to help me fall asleep, mostly because I didn't really get into this album until sometime either last year or the year before, and I kind of slowed down using albums for that purpose. But this is definitely one that I would recommend if you absolutely needed something for that. Super fantastic album. Love it so much. All right, and final album, kind of a bit of a detour, because this one's going to be slightly different. It's still going to be within the realms of black metal, but it's for a different reason, like from a completely different genre. But I think this specific genre of black metal is also very good for some relaxation time, at least for me, and that has to be Xasthur. Love Xasthur. This is my personal favorite album from him, from Malefic, I should say, or Scott Connor. Subliminal Genocide. Prison of Mirrors was the very first song that I ever heard from Xasthur, and since then, it's pretty much become my favorite song from them, and off of my favorite album from them. I love Telepathic with the Deceased, and what's the other one called? I can't remember. Nocturnal Poisoning. That's another really good one, too. Not the one I was thinking of, but also a very, very good Xasthur album. But I've listened to this album so many times, again, to help me sleep. I believe this was also one of the very first ones I checked out when I started using YouTube for albums. But either way, it's a DSBM album, which is, depressive black metal. Not sure if I can really say the second word. I'm just going to play it safer right now. But when it comes to a lot of DSBM albums, a lot of them, I would say, are generally very chill albums, because it's got that kind of like melancholic, atmospheric, sometimes even ambient type of feel to them. And it's one of those genres that you kind of have to be in a specific mood for, at least for me, Sometimes if I'm in that kind of mood where I really need some DSBM, Xasthur is definitely one of those that I go to. Of course, there's also like Thy Light and Apathy and Psychonaut 4 over there as well, and Shining is also very good too for that. But Xasthur will always just be a go-to for me if I just want some type of like kind of sad music, like sad black metal, if I really need something to kind of relax myself to. And this specific album is very much perfect for that, as well as, To Violate the Oblivious. That's the one that I was thinking of. So, like, Telepathic with the Deceased, To Violate the Oblivious, and Nocturnal Poisoning are also fantastic Xasthur albums to check out, too. But yeah, that is really all the albums I wanted to talk about. Just some nice albums to listen to if you ever need some time to just kind of mellow out. Have some relaxation time, try to get away from all of the hustle of everyday life, and, just put on an album and just let it take you somewhere. Yeah, so that's really all I got for you today. Hope you guys enjoy these albums if you decide to check them out, and maybe I'll see you guys next time. Maybe this will become a reoccurring thing for my YouTube channel. We'll see. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Stay metal.